Hey everyone. I bet you've heard a ton about AI productivity tools lately.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Everywhere, right? It feels like every day there's a new one.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to get caught up in all the hype, but you also kind of wonder if these things are really going to make a difference in your work life. You
Yeah.
know, like, are they actually worth the time and effort? Well, we decided to dive deep into this topic,
Yeah, we get a deep
a
dive.
deep dive into a really insightful piece called AI Productivity Tools, Integration, Compatibility, and Privacy.
Catchy title.
Right. And we wanted to kind of cut through all the marketing jargon and get to the heart of what it's really like to use these tools.
Yeah, strip away the hype.
Exactly.
hmm
So are they actually as easy to set up as they claim? Do they really work with all the software you're already using? And what about the big one, your data privacy?
Yeah, privacy is a big one.
Huge. And we found out might actually surprise you.
Yeah, it was pretty eye-opening.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the setup process.
All right, let's get into it.
Because I'll admit, I was a little intimidated at first.
I think a lot of people are.
Yeah, you hear all these stories about AI tools being a nightmare to configure, like you need to be a coder or something.
Right. Like you need a computer science degree just to get started.
Exactly. But the research we dug into actually revealed something pretty surprising.
What's that?
It's way easier than you might think.
Way easier. In fact, the source we're looking at found that the average setup time for three popular AI tools, Motion AI, Notion AI, and Zapier, was only 22 minutes.
22 minutes.
Seriously.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
That's way faster than I expected. I mean, a lot of the marketing materials make it sound like you'll be wrestling with these configurations for hours.
Right. Hours and hours.
Like you're going to pull your hair out.
Well, I think there's this misconception that AI tools are inherently complex and complicated.
Right. That's the image they portray.
Yeah. But the reality is they're designed to be user-friendly.
They want you to use it.
Exactly. They're not trying to scare you away.
Okay, so the setup isn't as scary as it seems. No, not at all.
But what about compatibility? That's always a concern of mine when I'm trying out any new tool.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Will it work with the stuff I'm already using?
Because who wants to switch their entire tech stack?
Right. Exactly. So what did the research say about that?
Well, they found that integration was super smooth with what they called API-friendly platforms.
API friendly. Okay, now you're going to have to explain that one.
All right, so APIs. Have you heard of APIs?
I've heard the term, but to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it means in this context.
Okay, so basically an API is a way for different software applications to talk to each other.
Okay, so like a universal language for software.
Yeah, think of it like a translator for your tech stack.
Gotcha. So API friendly basically means the software is designed to play well with others.
Exactly. And this makes it much easier for AI tools to integrate and pull information from various sources.
Makes sense. So which tools did they find were particularly good at this?
They tested tools like Zapier, which connects with over 2,000 other web apps.
Wow, that's a lot.
Also, GitHub Copilot, which works right inside coding environments.
So if you're a developer, that's a big plus.
Yeah, a huge plus. And Notion AI, which enhances Notion's core functionality.
So these integrations were all smooth sailing?
Pretty much, yeah. The report said they were effective and easy to use.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
But what about the software that's maybe not so API friendly? I'm thinking about some of those legacy systems that a lot of companies are still using.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Or even just older applications that haven't been updated in a while.
Right?
Like, will AI tools work with those?
That's where things get a little trickier.
Oh,
Yeah, older systems, especially those built in-house or without modern API structures, can be much harder for AI tools to connect with.
just like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah, kind of like that.
And they ran into this problem during their testing.
They did, actually.
Oh,
The source highlighted an example with Fireflies.ai, an AI tool that transcribes meetings.
okay, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's pretty popular, and it worked great with standard platforms like Zoom.
Okay, that makes sense.
But when they tried to integrate it with some less common communication tools, it ran into problems.
So the takeaway here is to do your homework before you jump in.
Yeah, definitely.
Make sure your existing software is actually compatible.
Absolutely. Check the AI tools documentation or website to see what platforms they officially support.
And if you're using older systems, be prepared for some potential headaches.
Yeah, you might need to factor in some extra time for troubleshooting or consider alternative solutions.
Good advice. So setup can be surprisingly easy, but compatibility depends a lot on the software you're already using.
That's a good summary, yeah.
All right, so we've tackled setup and compatibility, but now let's get to the big one. Privacy.
Ah, yes, the elephant in the room.
Exactly. Because it's one thing to have these AI tools boosting our productivity,
Right.
but what's the cost? What happens to all the data they're collecting?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big concern for me, and I'm sure it is for a lot of our listeners too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a crucial question and one that we'll dig into right after the break.
Sounds good. We'll be right back. All right, so we're back and ready to tackle the privacy issue.
Yeah, this is a big one.
It really is, because we're basically giving these AI tools access to a ton of our personal information.
Our emails, our calendars, our documents, everything. It's kind of like having a super efficient assistant who's also taking notes on everything you do.
Okay, that does sound a little creepy.
Yeah, a little bit.
And the source we're looking at didn't shy away from this at all.
Nope, they went all in.
They dug deep into the data collection practices of some of these popular tools, and what they found was pretty eye-opening.
It was. One of the most surprising things was just how much data these tools are gathering.
Like, give me an example.
They're not just recording the tasks we give them, they're tracking our usage patterns.
Like what?
The types of questions we ask, the time of day we're most active,
Wow.
even the content of the documents we're working on.
So they're building up a pretty comprehensive profile of us, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
And that raises some questions about how that data is being used.
Definitely.
And how it's being protected.
Exactly. And the source pointed out that some tools are storing this data on cloud servers in countries with less strict privacy regulations.
Okay, so wait. My confidential work files could potentially be sitting on a server in a country with totally different laws about data protection.
It's a possibility, and it's something to be aware of.
That's not very reassuring.
No, not really, and it's not always clear where your data is going.
So what can we do about it? Is there any way to control this?
Well, the source mentioned something called a hidden data control panel.
A hidden data control panel. What is that?
It's basically a secret room within the AI tool settings where you can see what information it has gathered about you.
Okay, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a spy movie.
So how do we find this secret control panel?
You'll usually find it in the settings menu under a section labeled privacy or data management.
Okay, so I have to do a little digging.
A little digging, but it's worth it.
So what can we do in this control panel once we find it?
It depends on the tool, but generally you can see what data the AI is collecting, how it's being used.
You can see a log of your activity.
Exactly. And sometimes you can download a copy of your data.
Okay, so you can take your data with you.
Right. And you can often adjust the settings to limit what the tool can track.
So we're not completely powerless when it comes to our data.
No, not at all. But there are some trade-offs involved.
Trade-offs, like what?
Well, restricting data collection can sometimes limit the AI's functionality.
Ah, okay, so if I prevent it from analyzing my emails, for example.
Exactly. It might not be able to provide accurate scheduling suggestions.
So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, you have to weigh the convenience of these features against your own comfort level with data sharing.
And there's no right or wrong answer.
Nope, it's a personal decision.
So the key is to be informed.
Yes. Know what data is being collected, how it's being used, and choose tools that align with your own privacy values.
All right, so we've learned that setting up AI tools can be surprisingly simple.
Way easier than you think.
But compatibility with our existing software is a crucial factor.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And when it comes to privacy, well, it's complicated.
It's a nuanced issue for sure.
So how do we bring all this together? What's the main takeaway for our listeners?
Well, I think the source we've been exploring makes it clear. AI tools aren't magic bullets, but they're not useless gimmicks either.
They have the potential to be incredibly useful.
Right. They can really enhance our productivity, but only if they're used thoughtfully.
It's about working with them, not just letting them take over.
Exactly. And that brings us back to those 3 key criteria the source highlighted. Realistic integration time, compatibility with your existing tech, and privacy controls that meet your needs.
Those are great guidelines.
They are. And if you keep those in mind, you'll be in a good position to make informed decisions about which AI tools to use and how to use them effectively.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, making choices that empower us, not overwhelm us.
Exactly, because the future of work is going to involve a lot more collaboration with AI.
It is. There's no doubt about that.
So we need to be prepared.
We do. We need to be smart about how we integrate these tools into our lives.
And that brings us to a final thought-provoking question.
Okay, hit me.
If this is the future of work, what skills will be most valuable in that future?
That's a great question.
I'd love to get your take on that.
Well, I think skills like critical thinking, adaptability, a willingness to learn and evolve, these are going to be more important than ever.
I completely agree. It's not about trying to outsmart the machine.
No, it's about working alongside them.
So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep an open mind.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And maybe, just maybe, if you're feeling adventurous, give an AI tool a try.
What if you got to lose?
Exactly. You might be surprised at how easy it is to get started, and who knows, it might unlock new levels of productivity you never thought possible.
Just remember those 3 pillars.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep diving deep.
You get it?
Wow, so we've really covered a lot of ground here.
We have, from setting these tools up to making sure they actually work with what we've already got.
And of course, the whole data privacy thing.
Right, privacy's huge.
It feels like AI productivity tools are more than just a trend at this point.
Definitely more than a trend.
They're here to stay.
It seems like it.
And the source we've been looking at really gets that, you know?
They do. They sum it up perfectly, I think.
They say that these tools aren't magic solutions,
Not magic.
but they're not useless either.
No, not useless at all.
It's more like they're powerful assistants.
Assistance, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It can help us work smarter.
Not necessarily harder.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
But like any good assistant, they need the right instructions.
Right. And we need to think about how they fit into our existing workflow.
And of course, consider the risks and benefits.
Always. There are always risks.
The source actually said that people can become up to 10 times more productive.
10 times.
That's what they found. But they also said that to reach that level, you can't just use any AI tool randomly.
It has to be strategic.
Exactly. You need to know what you need the tool for.
Right. And understand its strengths and weaknesses.
And ultimately choose the tool that fits your work style and the tasks you need to do.
It's about finding the right tool for the job.
It sounds like it's more about working with these tools,
Yeah, like a partnership.
using their strengths while still using our own judgment and expertise.
Exactly. It's a collaboration.
Which brings us back to those 3 key criteria.
Oh, yeah, those are good.
Realistic integration time,
Got to make sure it won't take forever to set up.
compatibility with your tech,
Really important.
and privacy controls.
You always have to consider privacy.
Those 3 things give us a good framework for making smart decisions.
For sure, it helps us cut through all the hype and figure out what's actually useful.
It's about finding tools that make us better at what we do,
More creative, more efficient.
and ultimately more fulfilled in our work.
Well said. And that makes me think about the final question that the source asked.
Oh yeah, what was it?
If this is the future of work, what skills will be most valuable?
That's a big one.
It is. What do you think?
I think skills like critical thinking,
Oh, for sure.
adaptability, and a willingness to keep learning,
Those are key.
those are going to be essential.
Absolutely. Because it's not about trying to outsmart AI,
No, it's about working with it.
finding ways to use it to our advantage.
So I guess what we're saying is keep learning, keep exploring, and keep an open mind.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And hey, maybe give an AI tool a try.
You never know.
It might surprise you.
It might. Just remember those 3 pillars.
Integration, compatibility, and privacy.
Those are the keys to success.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep diving deep, everyone.
See you all next time.